upload it to your YouTube and then
Quickly upload it to our YouTube. It's crazy.
Wait, go outside. Did I start? Did I even start it? Start it.
Right, that's our last take, mate.
Yeah. Have you started your timer?
Oh, wait, not yet.
Oh, mate. It's actually going to be a tight after. If we do it 15 minutes, it's going to be like 10 to.
Aye,
Okay.
we'll be tight.
Yeah.
Right, we're ready to go. This is the last take, so just take as long as you can. Right, ready, 3, 2, 1, go.
Anatomy and biomechanics of the pull-up and vertical jump. We'll talk about the skeletal, joint, and muscular contributions. So the vertical jump. So this is a movement used in sports such as basketball, when you're going up maybe to do a slam dunk or coming up to reach the ball to hold it. You can use a vertical jump to jump up. It's also used in volleyball. Also, again, that vertical jump to get yourself up in the air to hit the ball. And it requires explosive lower body power to propel the body upwards. So it's a fast movement, very powerful movement up here to get up, to lift your body off the ground. It's also used in places like football, even though the sport is more dominated with using your feet. The vertical jump is still very, very common in this field, especially with headers in football. So to win a header, to use your head, you still need to use that same vertical jump to get yourself in there and then propel your body upwards to use the header. So it's not just these two sports, there's many other sports as well that you can use. A pull-up is an upper body exercise that requires strength to lift the body by pulling up against a horizontal bar. So it's just a horizontal bar here, and then you just grab it and try and pull yourself up. And this exercise requires that strength to lift your body up using your hands and arms as well, especially arms. The scope of presentation. So scope of presentation, this is the lower body focus for vertical jump. So this is the pelvis and below. This is the focus on the scope of presentation. The upper body focus for pull-up is above the pelvis, so this side up. All right. Yes. Okay, so the bones involved in the vertical jump are the pelvis. So that's around here. What you'd call your hip. This serves as the foundation for force transfer from the leg. So this is where it all comes from. This is where, without any of them, but especially without the pelvis, it doesn't happen. We've also got the femur, so that's just about here, and the thigh. This is the longest bone, providing leverage for movement. So it's the longest bone that you can use for this movement. And we also have the patella. So the patella is in the knee, right in the middle of both of that range we're talking about, with the lower body focus from the pelvis down. So that's the patella. It protects the knee joint and improves mechanical efficiency, just making sure that the movement is smooth, and you can do it easier than you would do if your patella wasn't very good. You also got the tibia and fibula, which is just around your shin area here. This is the primary weight-bearing bones of the lower leg. You also got the tarsus and metatarsus and the phalanges, which are in your feet, and these are important for foot stability and propulsion. So this is important for when you're trying to propel yourself up, and also when you're landing as well. The hip, ball, and socket joint, these allow, so the joints involved in the hip in this movement are the ball and socket joint. These allow a wide range of motion for power generation. You also got the knee, so the joint involved in this vertical jump in the knee is the hinge joint. So like a door, it facilitates bending and extension for jumping force. And we've also got the ankle, it's also the hinge joint, which is crucial for push-off. So that getting away from the ground to propel yourself up and shock absorption upon landing. So the vertical jump, muscular and contraction type. So this is the gluteus maximus. That's just there, behind here. It extends the hip for explosive power. You also got your quadriceps, mostly called your quads, as well as the rectus femoris, the vastus lateralis, the vastus medialis, the vastus intermedius. This extends the knee to propel propel upwards. That's just about here. We've also got the hamstrings. That's just behind here. The biceps femoris, also around here. Semitendinosus and the semimembranosus. This assists the hip in hip extension. So we spoke about how the hip is very, very important. The pelvis, the hamstrings assist the hip in this movement. We also got the calf muscles, so the gastrocnemius, the scoliosis, so that's here. That facilitates the ankle plantar flexion for push off as well. So make sure that the ankle is ready, is firmly planted on the floor to make sure that you can jump up. This is concentric, so the jumping up is concentric, which means that the muscles shorten to generate force, so they shorten. And then eccentric is the landing phase. So this is when the muscles lengthen under tension to absorb the impact. So they've lengthened to be able to take the impact they're going to get once they get towards the ground.
Alright, so the skeletal functions within the pull-up. So the bones involved, so you have your clavicle and scapula, and these just stabilise the shoulder girdle within the pull-up. You also have your humerus, which is the main upper arm bone, providing leverage for the pull-up execution. The leverage within the pull-up execution is that the muscles pulling against the humerus bone to be able to generate that force for that concentric and eccentric and the muscular function in it as well. You also have your radius and your ulna within your forearm bones, and they help with the elbow flexion and the wrist stability. You think about if you're generating the pull-up, the wrist and the forearm come down, they twist as well, so the radius and ulnar bones are able to do that within your forearm, and that helps perform the pull-up. You also have your carpals, your metacarpals and phalanges, which is in the hand, and that ensures like the grip strength and give you the leverage within your hand as well for the muscles to give you the grip strength and also the control when performing the pull-up. The joints involved, so you have your shoulder joint, which is a ball and socket joint, and this allows for multi-directional movement during your pulling. Alright, so if you think about your shoulders coming out and then coming back in for the pull-up, and that again just gives you that leverage so you can give that force within the joint to perform the pull-up. You have your hinge joint within the elbow, so that facilitates the flexion and extension, which is critical for the lifting part within the pull-up. You also have the condyloid joint, which is in the wrist, so that adjusts the hand position and stabilises the grip, so you think you perform the pull-up and the hand also changes around like that, and that condyloid joint allows you to perform the pull-up in that manner. So the muscular and contraction types within that, so you have your prime movers and muscle function, so you have your latissimus dorsi, which is the primary muscle for pulling the body up, so that is what normally known as your lats. The biceps brachii and brachialis, so that's it flex the elbow during the upward movement. So as you're pulling yourself up within the pull-up, your biceps brachii and the brachialis is within here, so it's the inside and the outside part of the bicep. They flex against the elbow joint, the humerus bone, as we talked about earlier, and that generates that force within the elbow, so it allows it to flex during that upward movement. You have your trapezius and your rhomboids, so they stabilise and retract the scapula, so they are also known as your traps, which is this back bone here, also known probably the wing bit that comes out of the back. Again, they stabilise and retract against the scapula, but that helps you stabilise and also gives you that control when you're performing the pull-up, but also retracting when you're coming down in the descent. Onto that, so you have your concentric, which is the pulling up, so the muscles will contract to lift the whole body up from that stationary starting point all the way up above the horizontal bar. And then you have the eccentric, which is lowering down, so the muscles will control, but they will lengthen, so muscles control the descent in a lengthened state. So they're still contracting, but they're still contracting in a lengthened state to be able to give that grip, control and stabilisation during that pull-up and the descent to be able to go back up and perform another pull-up. So within the practical application, so you have, this is how the joint actions and muscle contractions influence the performance. So proper engagement of muscle and joints maximises the efficiency. So obviously within the proper engagement, meaning if you're performing these exercises right and within maximum efficiency, so if you can imagine within the vertical jump, if your knees are sticking out, then all the power is going outwards, but if you're wanting to get the vertical jump maximised to be able to go up to a height that you're able to go to, say within basketball or volleyball, if you want to jump above the net, you're looking to not generate power going outside the body, it needs to be within that central line. So again, you have to have proper engagement of muscles and joints all within the same area within that central line, and so the muscles and joints maximise that efficiency. And understanding the movement mechanics helps improve technique and strength. Again, if you're able to move your move your joints and your muscles within proper movement mechanics within that, and just tweak little things. Again, if your power isn't going off the central line within the vertical jump or within the pull-up, if you're not swinging, if you're just going straight up and down, that will improve strength, but also improves technique and improves that athletic performance as well, and the output that you'll get from there. Common mistakes in injury prevention. So within the vertical jump, we kind of said it earlier, but poor knee alignment can cause those ACL injuries. So if you've got poor knee alignment, so if they're pointing either inwards or outwards, that can also not help with ACL injuries, but also ankle injuries as well for that stabilisation. But with the ACL, if you're putting extra strain on those muscles to try and get them back within the central line if they're pointing inwards or outwards, that can cause ACL injuries and ruptures and tears. Within the pull-up, excessive swinging you see quite commonly, and improper grip can lead to shoulder strain. So if your grip isn't as good as it can be, also you're putting more strain on those shoulders as well to perform more percentage within the pull-up. But if you've got good proper grip, then you can take a lot of the force within the pull-up in your hands rather than leading to that shoulder strain in there. Also excessive swinging, so as I said, you're wanting to go straight up and down within a line within the pull-up. If you're swinging back and forth, that force is going to be onto your shoulders and lead to the shoulder strains within there as well. So if we can get that technique right, that will prevent those injuries coming forward in the future. So the relevance to sports and exercise. So I would say both exercises are fundamental for athletic performance and the strength training. I think within, strength within your own body weight is massive within athletic performance. If you think about basketball, volleyball, football, even that we work in, all these players are working within their own body weight, so you don't see them running about or performing the sport with weight. So I think with the pull-up, if you're strong within your own body weight and your own power, then that will obviously lead to more athletic performance as well, both within sprint speed, sprint power, and changes of direction. Vertical jump as well. Just examples within basketball, as you said, Rima said earlier, within the slam dunk. Volleyball, if you're going for a spike. Within football, if you're performing a header and jumping, these are all massive. So the vertical jump is massive within athletic performance output within these specific areas of each sport. And I think also within the vertical jump, there's studies showing that if you're higher vertical jump, the more power output you have when performing a sprint or maximal speed as well. So it's all relevant within sport and output. Key takeaways, so summary of anatomical contributions. So skeletal and muscular systems play crucial roles in both exercises, and proper technique prevents injuries and enhances performance. Importance of biomechanics, efficient movement patterns optimise the athletic output. Again, if you're able to get those movement patterns optimised as much as you possibly can, and the efficiency is at its peak, then power is not getting wasted, or you're not generating power away from the line of where you want to generate that force. There's no wastage in there at all. So if it's as efficient as possible, then as you say, if you're performing the vertical jump, if you're not pointing outwards, your knee isn't pointing outwards, your ankle isn't pointing outwards, and all the force is going straight line into the ground to perform the vertical jump straight up, then you will get higher vertical jump and all those muscles will perform as best they can. Application in training and assessment, so applying anatomical knowledge helps in coaching, rehabilitation and sports science. So the anatomical knowledge, us being coaches ourselves within football, that will help within our coaching as well. So if we're able to give a little piece of insight from our anatomical knowledge and apply it to our coaching, even when we're building training sessions or giving little bits of advice to our players, to maximise their athletic output, if they can take that from the training pitch onto game day, and then that will obviously help within our coaching as well. But also we're dealing with young players as well who potentially get injured, so obviously within injury prevention, if we can give that anatomical knowledge and apply it to them again, so injury prevention will also again enhance athletic output.